What's up guys and welcome back to the channel. Recently we've been covering topics related to the Kenobi series with our trailer breakdowns and other news, but before now there has been a select few books and novels and legends and canon that detail some of Obi-Wan's struggles and adventures during his isolation on Tatooine. We can't help but wonder if Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and the other minds at Lucasfilm will be taking any inspiration from these works from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. One event in particular that will be an important thing for the show to establish during this time period is when Obi-Wan discovered Anakin, or now Darth Vader, had survived his duel with him on Mustafar. Obi-Wan's thoughts and emotions in that moment are an important key to why Obi-Wan makes many of his most controversial decisions when it came to training Luke. So what exactly happened when Obi-Wan Kenobi discovered that Anakin had survived the duel, and discovered that Anakin was now the cybernetic monstrosity Darth Vader? We get a look into this moment in the now Legends novel, The Life and Legends of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Our story begins with Obi-Wan on Tatooine, where he has now become known as Ben Kenobi. During this time, Ben Kenobi would visit the Lars homestead twice a day, every day to check up on Luke. However, on this day, Obi-Wan had a brief confrontation with Owen, where the patron Lars expressed his discomfort with the Jedi Master haunting their property lines every single day. Like a ghost of the past, Ben Kenobi agreed to keep his distance from then on, only checking on Luke periodically. A few more years would pass and he would continue to watch Luke, albeit from farther away as Owen had requested. One day, the Jedi Master was shadowing the family as they were shopping around the place known as Anchorhead for supplies. The Lars family made a brief stop at a cantina, where Ben remained hidden in one of the booths. During these years, Obi-Wan often reminisced about what happened with Anakin and what could have been. He constantly doubted his decisions and ruminated on his failures as a master, as a Jedi, and as a friend. Obi-Wan believed that it was his fault that Anakin had fallen to the dark side and cost the galaxy everything, costing Padme's life and costing young Luke his family. And then, there it was. As Obi-Wan sipped from a glass of water, he would be shaken from his thoughts when the crackling holonet display mentioned the word Jedi. He would then ask one of the bar patrons to repeat what had been said on the holomonitor, and he would be told that an outlying sect of Jedi on Kashyyyk had been killed. Kenobi would feel saddened and very disheartened by this news, thinking to himself that they had made a mistake in trying to fight the Empire on the Lost World, as those Jedi had died as well as many thousands of Wookiee resistance fighters. Instead of retreating, as Obi-Wan had warned, Jedi were dwindling day by day and the light of the Force was quickly winking out. Every day, Obi-Wan could feel the changes as the dark shadow of the Empire continued spreading its reach over the galaxy. Despair filled his days, and although Master Yoda had told him he could communicate with Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan had yet to hear the voice of his long-dead master. But the bad news was not over. The holonet crackled out another message, this one pertaining to the Imperial official chiefly responsible for the crusade on the forested world of Kashyyyk, with the Empire hailing this official as a true hero of the Empire. Obi-Wan would look towards the display to see a hologram of a tall, black-clad angel of death that stood before him. And finally, he knew. The announcer said the name Darth Vader, and Kenobi's world shattered. In this moment, all went silent for him. He had dropped his drink to the ground, and his breath had caught in his throat. It felt as if his heart had fully stopped beating. Vader, alive. It didn't seem possible. It was too surreal for the Jedi Master. One of the other patrons at the bar had to come over and stabilize Kenobi. After making sure he was okay, Ben asked him to repeat the name of the man on the holonet, needing to confirm that everyone else had heard the same name. Once again, it was true. Darth Vader had survived. However, judging by the suit, it was just barely. Obi-Wan couldn't fathom how much pain and anguish Anakin must be in at that moment. He had presumed him dead. Dazed, Ben Kenobi stood up and staggered out of the cantina, barely able to even walk. Several questions rattled throughout his mind. Could he face Anakin again? And if he did, could he bring himself to actually defeat him, or even kill him? The thoughts swirled in his mind and heart like a hurricane. Obi-Wan couldn't help but blame himself. His own selfishness kept him from walking down the bank and ensuring that Anakin was dead on Mustafar. And now, Luke was in danger, much more danger than he had ever been before. Obi-Wan briefly considered moving him to an even more remote location, when finally, the voice of Qui-Gon spoke to him through the Force. A calm voice, a voice of reason, a friend. Obi-Wan threw himself in an alleyway between buildings, so as to not be labeled as a crazy man for talking to himself. There, he communicated and confirmed with Qui-Gon that Anakin was indeed this dark figure known as Darth Vader. But Qui-Gon assured him that Vader would never visit Tatooine again, as it was the one place that would bring Anakin back out from the depths. Obi-Wan understood this and planned to take extra measures in order to keep Luke safe. He would have to stay even further away for risk of the Empire finding him and leading them back to Luke. He knew that it was even more dangerous for the young Skywalker now, especially with his father out there looming in the shadows. Obi-Wan was told by Qui-Gon that he wouldn't be able to train Luke in the ways of the Force for fear of the Emperor or Vader sensing it and finding them. Luke couldn't know that Vader was his father, or at least not until the time was right. Armed with these new revelations, Ben Kenobi set out to communicate with the spirit of Qui-Gon more and learn the ways of the Force beyond death. With the question answered in Legends continuity, now the question stands, could we possibly get a version of this in the Kenobi series, or will it have happened off screen? From what we know from the trailers, Luke is approximately 9 years old. In the novel, Obi-Wan discovers Vader to be alive when Luke was still an infant, much younger than 10. It is possible that by the time the show takes place, Obi-Wan will have already known that Vader is still alive, or perhaps we could see something even more interesting. Since we already know that there will be a rematch between Kenobi and Vader, it is a possibility that it happens right after Obi-Wan finds out. Instead of taking it in stride, the broken and defeated Ben Kenobi rushes off to face Vader in a fit of emotion, which could create a beautifully emotionally packed scene of Kenobi's struggles with the dark side, as he tries to end his mistakes once and for all, but inevitably fails before Vader. It is important not to underestimate just how shocking this news was for Obi-Wan. It was hard enough that he struggled every day with feeling like Vader, the Empire, and the destruction of the Jedi, and Order 66 had all fallen on his shoulders. But when discovering that Vader had survived, this invalidates everything he tried to do on Mustafar. He had failed to avenge the Jedi at all, and now his apprentice was back from the grave and still squashing out the remainder of the Order that Obi-Wan had once loved and served. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of this? How do you feel about Obi-Wan Kenobi and his reaction to the fact that Vader survived his duel with him on Mustafar? What are your thoughts on these events, and do you think that we will ultimately see this in the Kenobi series? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for continuing to watch and support the channel. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.